Welcome back to Leisure World Today on our Friday edition. One of those places in the world that I think all of us have wanted to travel to, and many of you have had the opportunity, is the area of the world we refer to as China. But for the business person, it's also an opportunity to maybe involve themselves in investing, possibly developing new products, new lines, and certainly markets for American goods and American techniques. Joining us today, we have two experts on the subject of doing business with China. They're not only experts, but one of them is currently publishing a book on the subject, and they're holding some seminars and are helping business people to learn more about China. Jonathan Noell is joining us today, and Mike Liu, and they're partners in a company known as Management Associates, and they're an international investing consulting company right here in Orange County. Gentlemen, welcome to our program today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, you're currently putting out a book called The China Business Blueprint.
Yes.
When is that expected to be out?
It's going to be published next month.
Mm-hmm. So that will be available for people that want to do some in-depth reading in this area. I understand you kind of wear two hats in that you are both helping Americans to learn more about China, and you're also helping Chinese business people to learn more about America.
Yes.
Talk a bit about how you found yourself in that particular position of helping both sides work together.
Yeah, okay. I've been in the United States for 14 years, and I went to school in New York City, Long Island University, and I understand American management marketing system very well. And I'm a Chinese originally, so I know Chinese very well. And I feel this is the time we build up the bridge between United States and China.
Okay, great. Well, you're a person in the right place at the right time, it sounds like. Jonathan, tell us a bit about your company and how you folks got started and how you came into doing these seminars.
Well, Management Associates is a group that we like to classify ourselves as international trade facilitators. And our relationship between Mike and our firm has been ongoing for about 2.5 years. And we felt that this is a perfect opportunity to initiate a series of symposiums on how to do business in China and with the Chinese. It seems to be a popular topic these days, but it has a tremendous momentum. And the way to take advantage of the opportunity, we feel, is to really show American businessmen how to get involved with the Chinese community.
During a typical symposium or a seminar that you would hold, what kind of length of time would people be getting this training and indoctrination?
Well, this is going to be a very intensive 2-day educational experience, you might say. They're going to be held on Fridays and Saturdays to allow individuals to come to New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and of course right here in Irvine and Newport Beach.
So people can spend 2 days in rather extensive study, and I'm just looking at some of the symposium topics. You're going to be dealing with some of the cultural factors, and I know from looking at some of the chapter outlines in your book, Mike, that that's one of the things that maybe at the beginning causes some problems for Americans, because the way of doing business really in the whole Orient, but specifically in China, is somewhat different than we're used to in this country. Talk about one or two of just those basic just business differences in the way business is conducted.
I see. I believe the mutual understanding is the most important part for the businessmen want to get into the China market. When American businessmen go to outside of America, when they go to Japan, when they hear the Japanese businessmen say hi, 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 they thought it means, yes, I agree with you. But no, it just means I hear you. I'm listening to you. Okay, when we go to China, you have to use their rule to play their game. So they may put a lot of time in the conversation, but never hit the point. And the American businessmen may meet a lot of people, different kind of people, but they never reach the decision maker. And they won't tell you.
Right.
You have to read their face, their mind. Sometimes you have to be the fortune teller. So I believe understanding the cultural background is very important.
Would it be something that would be wise for an American, say, company or individual getting involved in China to employ someone such as yourself as a consultant? I don't want to use the word translator so much, but in the business sense of a translator, to help them to understand not just what's being said, but really what's being said behind. Would that be a plus for a corporation getting into China for the first time?
Yes, definitely. There are some failures because they don't understand what the Chinese decision maker think. So some companies, they hire American Chinese, or you can say Chinese American, as a middleman to play a unique role to arrange everything, and including the negotiation.
One of the things I know that a lot of people would question and want to know about is the political system there in China. And I noticed from your outline you do discuss that, what's happening since the Cultural Revolution and the change of government there in China. We Americans tend to oversimplify, and especially those of us in the news media tend to put labels on everything. And say, for example, the farmers are now being allowed to produce some crops on their own and sell them on their own at the local produce market, say. Everyone assumes that there's this great burst of free enterprise and the communist system is going out in China. That's not really the case, correct?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Jonathan.
No, that's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, you have a country with 1 billion people, and it's still communist. But it is instituting a series of free enterprise methodologies that will allow the People's Republic of China to compete more openly with the world community from a trade standpoint. And what Deng Xiaoping is doing, quite frankly, is trying to initiate some of these Western-style management, marketing, and sales techniques in a very concentrated, encapsulated time period of a few years, which took the United States over 200 years and actually centuries in Europe.
So it's happening rather rapidly, and it's a cultural change for them, the people of China, as well as for people trying to do business with them.
That's right. Yeah, and I believe the country is still firmly socialist. In the word of the party, they say they are socialism with Chinese characteristics. So, they are not simply transfer from communism to capitalism, but just a complex fusion of socialism and the capitalist concept.
So it would be different, say, from an American doing business with the Soviet Union, another communist country. There would be some significant differences than if a person, say, had experience doing business in the Eastern Bloc countries. There would be some considerable differences, just cultural differences, dealing with China, as well as the government differences.
Oh,
That's right.
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, we feel that there's China is going through a tremendous change, economically speaking, and the Japanese are there now. The Soviet Union has built many factories during the 50s that are run down now, and it's up to the American businessman to come in and take the place, because the change will occur. It's just a matter of fact of who is going to initiate and be with the Chinese during this changeover period.
You mentioned your seminars will be starting soon, and they'll be held in the local area here in Irvine. What types of people have already expressed an interest? What types of companies will be coming to your seminars?
Well, there are several types. As a matter of fact, our brochure will be coming out next week, and we will be putting this the initial symposium on April 25th and 26th at the Irvine Hilton and Towers. We feel that there's going to be a wide variety of individuals that are going to attend. We have small, medium, and major multinational corporation executives. But I think the target market for us is basically the middle, the small to medium-sized businessman that doesn't have the wherewithal or the financial capabilities of getting involved in China. So we, as international trade facilitators, feel that we can assist this individual or this company in getting into business much more quickly than he otherwise would do on his own.
Are you also able to provide, and again the word I came up with was a translator in the business, are you able to provide that service to the small and medium company, or are you going to be so busy with seminars that you won't be able to actually get involved with a specific company working in China?
On the contrary, what this is, this series of symposiums, quite frankly, is the ability to educate the individual and the individual companies. But Mike Liao has been actively involved. He's been over in China on 2 trips, and this will be his 3rd trip. He's leaving next week to put on a series of lectures. He's talked to over 20,000 Chinese bureaucrats and businessmen on the advantages of the Western management and marketing techniques, which is quite unusual, actually, because, you know, they're not really ready for this, and you visualize all of these Chinese as in their blue suits, but they are very interested in what's going on in America, quite frankly. They have TV over there, and Mike is quite a speaker, I might say, and when the central government of China asked a foreigner to be the city council and planning advisor to one of the special economic zones, it's testimony to his the trust and respect that he has attained at the highest level.
That is indeed an honor, and we congratulate you on that. You mentioned one of your chapters in your book. You talk about those special economic zones.
Yes.
The President of the United States was talking about something similar to that early on in his first years as President of Special Economic Zones here in America. But the Chinese sound like they've really jumped on the bandwagon and have actually cities
Yes.
devoted to that subject. What's the name of the city that you are serving?
Oh, it's the city of Zhuhai, just across the border of Macau, about 40 miles from Hong Kong.
So residents of our community who might have visited Hong Kong would have been
Yes.
very close to that area.
That's right.
What are some of the general areas of business that looks like it's going to be successful in the short term, in the next few years? What products, what types of things do the Chinese not have on their own now that they need Americans to produce and bring into their country? Are there a few industries that are maybe better than others right now?
Well, of course, there's the hotel industry that is desperately needed in China. There's no question about it. Anybody that has traveled throughout China knows that there's not a lot of places to choose from. But of course, with the very cheap labor source that we have over there, manufacturing plants, tremendous potential. Of course, the marketing capabilities that China offers is unbelievable. And if you're in distribution, you're in importing, exporting, there are several areas that if you're involved presently in international business at all, China, especially if you're in the Pacific Rim, China must be considered.
Okay. Mike, we looked a little at your book last night, and I know one of the things you point out is you compare the wage structure, say, in China, in Japan, and some of the other areas. The Chinese are even much less than the Japanese as far as the average income. Is that correct? Of the wages paid to workers?
That's right. It's really a lot of difference. In China, we count by minute, only half cents per minute. But in Japan, it costs 8 cents per minute. In Korea, it's 2 cents per minute.
So companies that are used to, say, designing a product in this country and getting it assembled or manufactured in the Orient, all things being equal, could make a big savings if they could get that product manufactured in China, even over Korea or Japan, assuming that the factory was there and the setup was there. You mentioned that many of the factories were built by the Soviets in the 50s. We hear now that the Soviet Union is encouraging the Yugoslavs to build their, I believe it's called the Yago car. We hear so much about the car business from the Orient. What about China? Is there a building up of an auto industry in the horizon?
Oh yes, American Motor is in Shanghai. I said that, and northeast of China is called Shenyang. They already have the Jeep made in China. And as I know, the Chrysler and the General Motors, Ford company, they are in the negotiation stage. They want to get into the China.
That would be what, for manufacturing facilities and for sales as well then,
That's right, yeah.
So is it possible now to sell, say, American cars in China?
Okay, it depends on, how do you promote the American products. People saying China doesn't have a foreign currency to buy the goods. It's not true, because Japanese company, they sold $4.5 billion of consumer goods to China last year.
$1 billion.
4.5 billion.
Right, just from Japan?
Just from Japan. And China need almost everything. They need modern technologies, they need modern facilities, equipment, and they have to renovate their old equipment.
And one of the unique, of the unique aspects of doing business with China, quite frankly, is the inability of the Chinese to pay for that, the manufacturing facility for foreign investment to come in, set up joint ventures. So in this country, we have not been very familiar with the concept known as countertrade, but the communist countries in the Eastern Bloc have been utilizing this unique mechanism of participating in international trade for many, many years. Very simply because they haven't had the foreign currency reserves to pay for products. One of the things that we hope to encourage and at least illustrate in our symposiums is the unique ability that once one understands what countertrade is, how to utilize the concept, you can pull foreign currency out of China and getting paid for your services and your products. You might have to incorporate some other individuals, some other companies, some trading companies, etc. But it's a little more sophisticated than the old barter days. You might have to utilize 3 or 4 different corporations, international corporations, in order to move rice for product, for manufactured products, that type of thing.
Right.
So it's one of the most major aspects to consider in going in there, that you may not get paid in dollars, but you may get paid in another product. And if you're willing to accept that product and place it somewhere else in the world community, you will be successful in doing business over there.
So as Mike mentioned, it's learning the rules, and there's a slight change in the rules. And if you learn the rules, you can play the game a lot more effectively.
I think that's the key.
That's right. Yeah.
Knowing the game.
Yeah, we have the reference book called Yes, You Can Do Business with China When You Know How. I said know-how is really the key. And the seminar will provide those key for the people coming.
You mentioned some of the areas that American business are looking at. You mentioned specifically the hotel business. What are some things that China is now producing and manufacturing on their own that are being exported that Americans and other countries are taking? You mentioned rice. We think of China as consuming all the rice that they grow. Are foodstuffs among the things they are able to export?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, for many, many years since the Communist Revolution, they have been importers of a lot of grains, rice, etc. However, since the new economic plan has been instituted by Deng Xiaoping, they have become net exporters of grain and rice to Japan, quite frankly, and some other countries around the world. So this new economic plan is taking effect even in the agricultural sector, which is growing at phenomenal rates, between 10, 12, and 14% since 1979.
It's an exciting area, and certainly a chance for those of you involved in business to learn more about this part of the world. And the seminars will be coming up starting locally in the end of April. So we'd like to thank our 2 guests for joining us today, Mike Lau, and I hope I'm not pronouncing your name too badly, and Jonathan Noell. Seminars on China, and their company is called Management Associates right here in Orange County. Gentlemen, good success with your programs.
Thank you very much.
Good success with your book, The China Business Blueprint, which will be out, well, about the time of the first seminar, I guess. It should be out by next month.
Yes.
So that'll be available as well as some reading material on that subject. Thanks to both of you for joining us today on our program.
Thank you.
And special thanks to Marta Smith, who is associated with these gentlemen, for setting up that segment and bringing them by to talk with us today a little bit about a very important area of business for Americans, doing business with China.